Is always better than a loss, Philpott. Always.
UCF SID Andy Seeley, a nice job, and we had a little chuckle with that. Thought we'd mention it in the open. As the return across the 25 to the 27. After a gain of 26, the Knights will begin this game, and our first chance to take a look at the starting quarterback, Mackenzie Milton. And Tom, he has been impressive, just a sophomore out of Hawaii. Even keel and running the show for this UCF offense.
Yeah, and really forced into playing a year ago, Roy, as a true freshman due to injury to the starter. And Mackenzie Milton, coming out of the state of Hawaii, he really does a great job getting the ball out of his hands quick.
Adrian Killens, one of the fastest players in college football, will flank him to his right. Smith in motion, play action, and Akins, the tight end, will tiptoe his way for a short pickup, crossing the 30. We expect to see number 88 in white featured early and often this evening. Yeah,
and if there's one guy on the offensive side of the ball that just creates nightmare mismatches, it's number 88, Akins. Of course, he was a former pro baseball player. He only averages about 19.5 yards a catch, tops on the team.
Not too shabby. Deep handoff to Killens, a little shake and bake, ushered out crossing the 40. And on 2nd and 5, he picked up 9, and that'll move the chains.
And we'll talk about Killens' speed a lot tonight, but he is so quick and explosive, and Scott Frost just loves him. He just says, he he's tough as nails, and he was the AAC American Player of the Week last week.
Killens again, straight up the gut, crosses the 45, brought down by Marquise Copeland. So UCF very crisp in a resounding win against Memphis last week, 40-13. They start off fast here tonight.
Well, yeah, and they just love the up-tempo offense.
4 wide. Milton down the field and wide open, and that's busted coverage. Snelson's going to score. From 54 yards out, the Knights on fire on their first possession.
So they end up catching Chris Murphy, the safety, looking inside, Roy, and they go 3 by 1. They had 3 wide receivers to the far side. They end up, Milton reads it perfectly. Snelson just really running straight up the seam, and, a little play action in the backfield, just holds the safety just for a split second. Milton able to deliver the ball right on time.
73 yards in just 4 plays, and UCF making it look so easy in this first part of the season.
Well, and I saw Scott Frost on the sideline. He went over and told his defensive coordinator something, Eric Shenander, right after they scored. And I think he might have said, hey, you need to go blitz them early. Go for a pick. But, you just see Snelson running up, right up the seam. Milton, a quick little play action. And then again, the ball out of his hands quick. Right on target. Good for another UCF score. UCF's going to score quite a bit now.
Top 10 in the country in scoring offense. Top 10 in the country in scoring defense. Only Washington and Alabama can make that same claim. And you haven't heard about the Knights just yet. You're about ready to find out tonight because they have so many weapons. They're well coached with Scott Frost. And Luke Fickell searching for answers, trying to get his team geared up here in his first season in the Queen City.
Yeah, the UCF offense is just so explosive. And Luke Fickell, who, of course, a great defensive coordinator for Ohio State for many years, his first season at the helm for Cincinnati, and he had a rough one last week. It was not it wasn't pretty against Marshall.
Hawes from his 4, and with blockers who quickly tripped up short of the 20. So a Cincinnati offense in search of its identity. The quarterback that's trying to get things moving now in his junior season in Hayden Moore. Tom will start off with poor field position.
Well, and really just what they don't want, Roy. They're trying to find some energy. They're trying to find some momentum on offense. They've struggled. They had a tough time against Marshall last week, and it's just one of those things. You got to get some first downs. You got to clank the chains on the sidelines. That's the only way you get momentum, is to get those first downs.
Facing a 5-man front on first down. Play action for Moore. Under duress. Pitch and catch. Khalil Lewis. And on first down, they'll net 16 yards, and that's a good sign for the Bearcats faithful to see more off and running.
Well, and Khalil Lewis on the field because he was questionable midweek, and sure enough, the defense comes with a blitz that time right on top of quarterback Moore.
Mike Boone making the start, injured his ankle in the final play against Michigan 3 weeks ago. And the good news is he's now healthy. They'll have to lean on number 5 in black tonight, and Moore needs a good running game. He needs to get his weapons going to have a shot.
Yeah, 52% passer coming in, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. And, you know, Roy, it's really just his leadership, I think, that needs to come and really show out tonight.
Wildcat formation with Boone as the signal caller and 3 flags on the field.
Full start. Offense, number 56. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Kyle Trout got the start tonight at right guard, the guilty party. For Luke Fickell, first season, longtime coordinator right up road in Columbus at Ohio State. Tom, they're 2-3 to start this year, but coming off a really rough home loss a week ago to Marshall. They trailed 24-0 at halftime before trying to make it respectable late.
Well, and that's the slow starts they've had, and right there, penalties on first down just don't help.
On the tunnel screen, they're going to lose to Shaquan Burkett, the tackle behind the line. So the second catch for Lewis. 3rd and 13 upcoming.
Boy, and Burkett is a good player from that inside linebacker position. And what UCF also does, they rotate 9 deep in the defensive line. A lot of teams don't do that across the country, but they're able to. Right now, they're showing blitz.
And movement on the right side of the line.
Full start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Kendall Calhoun.
Well, Roy, when you're looking for momentum on offense and you get these 5-yard penalties, but you get 2 in the same drive, now all of a sudden you're asking a quarterback, it's 3rd and 19, and you're still in your own end. So you don't want to throw a risky throw down the middle. You want to make sure it's out on the perimeter, but you have such a long way to go. It's an awfully difficult conversion attempt.
Michael Warren checking in on 3rd and long. Moore will extend the play, but be well short of first down yardage. Tom will get some of that penalty yardage back, but 3 and out really for Cincinnati on its opening possession. They did pick up the 1 first down, but not what Luke Fickell wanted to see.
No, and Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, is not what he wants to see either. And they had gone to Wildcat on that one, on the first play. They got the motion penalty. They just want to try something different and looking for any possible advantage right there. 3 and out, though.
James Smith, the freshman punter. He's just 23 years old from Australia. Outstanding leg strength. He'll send it end over end inside the 20 for a punt of 49. A fast start for the Knights, undefeated on the road, and a touchdown advantage. Back now to live action. Milton flings it deep. Smith is open, and he's got it. Traquan Smith. Just like that, the Knights strike once again from 79 yards out.
Well, I don't feel bad in the sense that when I asked the offensive coordinator, Troy Walters, yesterday, I said, you know, it seems to me as though you're going to get some shots that you can take deep. And he said, sure enough, he said, absolutely.
And some trickeration on the extra point attempt. 2-point play is no good. Well, UCF likes to run that sequence. And either its first or second touchdown of the year this season, and that time they come up empty. But Tom, already a 13-point lead in this offense. I mean, it's on fire. I don't know how many different ways you can say it.
Well, when you come into the game scoring over 46 a game, Roy, number one, you're going to score a lot of points. And right here, the 79-yard strike from McKenzie Milton to Traquan Smith. And that, it's just a fantastic spot that he picked to throw. They're picking on number 11, Davin Pierce, and you know, it's just a great matchup. Traquan Smith, he had 2 touchdowns a week ago. He has 4 on the season. The ball comes out early, and you know how I love when that ball comes out early on a post, and Smith, he never got out of stride there, and just another dagger early in the first quarter.
Mackenzie Milton, in less than 5 minutes, already 138 passing yards. We've seen some outrageous point totals in the American this year. We may see another one tonight. What can the Bearcats do? From the 2, here's Halls, far side, and ushered out quickly with authority at the 16-yard line.
Well, this is exactly what Luke Fickell, the head coach of Cincinnati, was hoping would not happen. It's that early strike of UCF, and it becomes so difficult to work back uphill, and especially when the defense of UCF is playing with the momentum. They have the momentum. Eric Shenander there across the way, one of the bearded ones, and he can dial up some blitz now. I think they'll be a little conservative here, either go 2 safeties, run cover 2, or maybe just a single high.
First 15 minutes have not been kind to the Bearcats this year. Backside pressure. Pass will be caught for a gain of 3.
And what they do, they pack the box still, Roy, and they're able to play man coverage with a single high safety. So they're almost daring Cincinnati to throw the ball. However, what Cincinnati wants to do, they have to establish some run game. They've just been ineffective thus far this season. They're only averaging 100 a game, and they come in at about 120th in the FBS.
Pass is batted down by Pinckney. Only has 4 grabs this year. It'll bring up 2nd down and 6, make it 3rd and 6. You want to talk about big plays early. If Cincinnati's going to have any chance, they need to sustain a drive or 2.
Well, and they just have to convert some 3rd downs. I would say this is a semi-manageable 3rd down at 3rd and 6.
Out of the shotgun, quick toss, caught, 1st down. Khalil Lewis, 3rd reception of the evening, and a big catch as Richie Grant credited with a stop.
And Roy, what they did there, they went 5 wide, so they went empty, and they want UCF to declare coverage, which they did, and Hayden Moore making a nice throw that time to Khalil Lewis for the 1st down.
Well, we welcome you here inside of Nippert Stadium, those that were watching the 7 overtime thriller as Western Michigan survives against Buffalo. Here it's been a fast start for the UCF Knights, ranked in the top 25, undefeated, as Mike Boone goes over the right side for a short pickup. Shaquan Burkett with the stop. Mackenzie Milton already with nearly 150 yards passing, and UCF 2 for its first 2 in terms of scoring on their offensive possessions.
And why do linebackers play so well for UCF? It's really attributed to that defensive line of UCF. We'll talk about them a little bit tonight.
Knights went 4 plays for 73 yards on their first possession, 1 play for 79 on their second, and the drive continues now for the Bearcats.
Well, so far, the young Mackenzie Milton, sophomore quarterback, throwing a touchdown early on the first series, and second series, first play, 79 yards to Traquan Smith, and UCF on fire so far tonight.
Hayden Moore into plus territory and dives his way for a 1st down. Garrod with the stop after a gain of 10.
Hayden Moore does it with his legs too. He's able to really just run zone up the middle. They avoid the blitz that time, and Moore doing the right thing, just a little zone read, quarterback keep.
Out of the pistol this time for Hayden Moore. Give straight ahead. Dokes has it. Started a couple of games at running backs this year, and he'll be stopped short of the 40-yard line. So Cincinnati imperative to eat some clock and get some points on its second possession.
Yeah, Roy, it couldn't emphatically agree with you as much, because you have to keep the clock in your favor against this team. And the interesting thing about UCF, they don't mind coming out and playing defense. They know their offense is going to score a lot of points, so you just got to keep control of the ball and get some first downs.
Out of the Wildcat, Boone, the stutter step. On 2nd and 8, we'll pick up 2. Uyanda with the hit. Now UCF just 2 seasons removed from a winless campaign. Scott Frost comes on board. Last year the Knights make a bowl game. This year undefeated in their first 3 contests. A lot of people talking about this UCF staff as one of the up-and-coming staffs in the country. Frost, the former Nebraska star, got his career started at Stanford. On 3rd down, the pump fake. Wide open is Gray. And Gray's got a first down. Devin Gray. Tripped up inside the 15. And after a gain of 23, the Bearcats in business suddenly.
Well, and that's a nice throw and catch right there. Hayden Moore to the receiver, Gray, Devin Gray, and he just runs a turn route, a little simple, sit down between defenders, show your numbers. Moore gets the ball on his numbers, and then he's able to get the yards after catch.
Play action, seam route, incomplete, and there's a flag. And there was contact by Trey Neal in the back of the end zone. Lewis, the intended receiver, and that's going to be a first down.
Holding. Defense, number 23. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Yeah, Trey Neal's really playing well at the safety position. He'll get manned up sometimes on that slot receiver, and he just had his hands all over him that time to the left part of the screen and just kind of mugs the receiver. Lewis, the intended receiver, first down for the Bearcats.
I love it when you form a quarterback spot, holding or PI somewhere. You are all over that call every single time. It's a smile on my face.
Well, and I see it early, normally. It just, it's interesting, Roy, when you're watching.
Pass interference, defense, number 23. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line, automatic first down.
So they changed it from a hold to pass interference. Changes it a little bit where the ball is spotted. First down for Cincinnati at the 2, but it's all about recognition, partner.
Jared Dokes will flank Moore. And now joined by Boone. Mike Boone towards the end zone. And driven backwards. Lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage, Pat Jasinski. Big number 56 and wide, and a big-time playmaker for UCF.
Boy, I tell you, he read that one. Pat Jasinski playing at such a high level right now. And really credits the strength and conditioning staff quite a bit. 56, just read and react and fill the gap. And he just puts his helmet right on number 5's chest bone. That's a loss.
2nd down and goal. Shovel pass. And tripped up at the 1. Now Cogswell with the grab, his first of the night, and Trey Neal credited with a stop.
Well, Trey Neal making up for that penalty. Came and made a really nice tackle that time on Moore. Again, they're so good at reacting. Trey Neal coming across the formation and just making a tough tackle there. 3rd down, Cincinnati. Going empty again.
Quarterback draw. Moore's got it. And what a response by the Bearcats. By the time you felt like they were setting UCF's defense up for that play, empty backfield, and he found a little crease right up the gut.
Well, it's a great response, and you nailed it there. It just, if you don't respond, this one can get ugly quick because UCF can score at will. But right there, a nice play drawn up by Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator. Little kind of a QB with a guard pull, just a QB lead play. And Cincinnati able to cut the deficit to 6.
Under 5 to play in a fast-moving first quarter. We got a ball game. 13-7 UCF. You're watching ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Dr. Pepper. Here in the Queen City, we got a good one brewing in the American. And we remind you as well, kick off your Week 5 NFL Sunday with ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. Our Sunday NFL Countdown crew, Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck and company, with brand new host Samantha Ponder. We'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, plus previews of each and every game right up to kickoff, and also streaming live on the ESPN app. Well, the action has been fast and furious back in Cincinnati. Tom Ramsey and Roy Philpott in a 13-7 ball game. And near side sent out at the 24-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Knights when we come back.
ESPN College Football is presented by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave, and in part by Axe. Find your magic.
Well, historic Nippert Stadium, the 3rd oldest FBS stadium in the country. Home of Bearcat football since 1901. And you see some of the other historic venues in this great land of ours. Now, movement on the UCF line. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott.
Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Aaron Evans making his 30th consecutive start tonight at left tackle, the guilty party. And now let's see if UCF has a response. The Knights have not faced a lot of adversity this year. Not that this is considered an adverse situation, but...
No, they haven't. I think the only adversity they faced is a TV timeout and maybe that short penalty.
Killens, left side. There's the speed. Had a 96-yard run for a touchdown last week in the win against Memphis. And he explodes for 8 yards here.
On the play by number 9, Stevens. There is a flag on the play.
One penalty flag on the field.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense, number 9, taunting. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic, 1st down. This is number 9's first unsportsmanlike
Well, you expect
penalty.
a lot more from your senior corner in Lyndon Stevens, but Adrian Killens just 1 week ago. This guy's a 2-time state champion at 200 meters out of the Sunshine State. He's got all kinds of speed to burn. We timed him here. And Tommy's averaging almost 18 miles an hour on this run.
We had the watch on him. He's an awfully fast player. He's a legit 10-4 100-meter guy. He ran that in 11-4.
Blitz off the edge, no doubt. Killens again into plus territory. Grant Coleman brought him down after a gain of 14.
And when you think about how fast he really is, you know, just compare it to some of the great ones. Now, that's average miles per hour, 23 miles per hour. Usain Bolt, Adrian Killens, 17.83 with a bunch of pads on his back. It's you know how that feels.
If that's the average, what's the top end speed in a run like that?
Man.
Milton straight ahead.
Quarterback Mackenzie Milton with the quarterback.
Well, Adrian Killens has he's been performing at a very high level and was awarded last week by the American Conference as the Player of the Week. 9 rushes, 115 yards in that spectacular TD. Helps your average for sure.
No pump fake his direction here. Wide open. Pass is caught. Jordan Franks, the tight end, bruises his way inside the 15. Stevens brought him down, but not before. That's another UCF 1st down.
Yeah, Jordan Franks, the brother of Felipe Franks, quarterback at Florida. They got stuck on the chin today, didn't they?
LSU at the Swamp goes in and steals one. It's been a wild day as well. You saw the 7 overtime game prior to us kicking off tonight. Western Michigan winning on the road. Iowa State storms into Norman, Oklahoma.
Storms.
And deals Lincoln Riley his first loss as the Sooners head coach. Near side run. Otis Anderson, probably the most versatile player on the UCF roster. It's a wide receiver and also a lineup in the backfield. Another quality pickup.
Well, Otis Anderson, he is a little bit like the Swiss Army knife. He can do a little bit of everything, inside, outside. He's lining up a receiver now. He's up in the slot, and he's a true freshman.
Taj McGowan checks in. Play action, end zone, and a late flag after Carter Jacobs batted that football away. It looked like good coverage. We'll check the penalty.
Boy, Mackenzie Milton, too. It was RPO.
Pass interference. Defense, number 20. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
It was run-pass option there, Roy, and I love Mackenzie Milton's eyes. It was right down the field on the receiver, and he waited till the last minute to pull the ball from McGowan, and he was able to it was a tight window, trying to get the ball to Otis Anderson.
Milton, play action, looking, surveying, and wisely throws that one away. Well, as a sophomore, that was the play he was not making a year ago, Tom.
No, and I think the most remarkable statistic is he still hasn't taken a sack. The offensive line has not been tagged with a sack. And credit that Greg Austin, the offensive line coach, doing a great job for Scott Frost and company. But it's also, you know, really Milton's experience, as you pointed out there, Roy. Just another year taking snaps, just as everything.
McGowan straight ahead.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Cincinnati. It's their first timeout of the half.
And a well-used timeout by Luke Fickell.
30-second timeout.
Because McGowan's was going to run for a couple of days if he needed to.
Yeah, there's a big hole there. But let's go back and talk about Mackenzie Milton just for a minute and his experience and what it lends to, because when you see those looks over and over in practice, and it's really the repetitions, you're just able to make the play that much quicker.
Now Luke Fickell talking things over with this veteran officiating crew. And tell you what, it's an interesting situation for Luke as you take a look at the top teams in the country. We mentioned this in our open. UCF in the top 10 in scoring offense and defense. Only other two programs matching the night so far, Bama and Washington.
A little bit of elite company right there when you really look at what UCF has done. And you asked Scott Frost before the game, are you a little ahead of schedule? And, you know, he replied, well, no, but yes, they are a little ahead of schedule. They admitted it yesterday. I don't think they want to go on air and say, yeah, we're a little ahead of schedule. But when you look at where they came from, you know, 2 years ago when he took control of the program, they were 0-12. And they had a huge turnaround last year. 6-6 in conference play, was awarded and went to a bowl game, lost to Arkansas State in their bowl game, the Camping World Stadium. It was the Auto Nation Pure Bowl. And, you know, Roy, to end up 6-7, you know, you go, that was a success. But then the off-season and the off-season training and spring ball, that's when they made the big strides.
Second down, goal to go. McGowan's tripped up and stood up after some tough yards. Third and goal from just outside the one now for UCF.
Well, and you got the big defensive lineman in as a lead blocker. Jemias Pittman, number 5, just lined up to the left of Mackenzie Milton. He's a huge defensive tackle, but he's also the lead blocker here.
McGowan left side. Did he get in? He did. Touchdown. Now the junior from Hollywood, Florida reaches pay dirt. UCF a perfect 3 for 3 with its offensive possessions tonight.
Well, they're tough in the red zone. They came in averaging 46.3. And Pittman, when he's your lead blocker, look out, because when you got the big fella going about 320, I tell you, he just plows right ahead, gets a hat on the linebacker. They get over for the score. Ready for the extra point.
Matthew Wright's extra point. We'll split the pipes. And a 20-7 advantage. 1:32 remaining in our first quarter. And a fun one here in the American. You're watching the American on ESPN. A beautiful night in Cincinnati for now. Here inside of Nippert Stadium, a 20-7 score. UCF out in front. Traveling on the road here to face off with the Bearcats. And tell you what, the Knights in less than 5 minutes doing plenty of damage so far. They're 3 for 3.
Well, how about that? 213 yards, 3 scores, and less than 5 minutes off the clock. I mean, that's remarkable.
That's what they've been doing for most of this season. One of the reasons they're ranked inside the top 25. Pause from the 7 with a running lane. And spun down short of the 25.
Well, they have one of the highest margins of victory in the country. Third best in the country. 33 points per game in their previous 3 games. And that includes Maryland. Power 5 team. They beat them handedly, 38-10.
That game coming on the road after Maryland upset Texas, it seems like eons ago. A lot of respect for this program in the group of 5. Pass is caught. Moore with all kinds of time. A nifty move into plus territory. And Thomas Geddes making his 13th rather reception of the year after a gain of 29.
Yeah, Geddes just running a square in, and the ball delivered right on time by Moore, and that's Geddes' second catch. Awfully nice throw and catch that time. I kind of get the feeling that Cincinnati's coming out of their comfort zone a little bit, but they have to against this UCF high-scoring team.
Boone went in motion. Lewis, the intended receiver. And pass caroms off his fingertips. Now the ESPN app is a fan's best friend this fall. Stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live, at home, or on the go. You get access to scores, news, and highlights all season long. Download the ESPN app to start streaming today. You're watching the app here in the booth. 7 overtime thriller right before we came on the air, not to mention all the other games.
Timeout, Cincinnati. It's their second timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Timeout on the field as we step aside. Well, a very eventful evening in college football. 16 undefeated teams remain. SEC with 2, the ACC with a couple. Big win for TCU today at home against West Virginia. A couple remaining in the Pac-12, and in the group of 5, a handful of programs including UCF. Navy with a big win against Air Force earlier today as well. Not to mention USF, San Diego State. Everybody positioning themselves to try to make that New Year's 6 bowl game. And of course the top ranked team in the group of 5 will get that bid as more motions out. Boone out of the Wildcat. Boone with a running lane. And tripped up short of the 30. Trey Neal with a stop, and the Bearcats finding their rhythm on offense.
Well, and just talking about the group of 5 and the New Year's 6 games and the potential to be one of those teams. I think there's 3, Roy. UCF is one of them. USF and San Diego State. All 3 have a verifiable chance, and UCF actually, according to ESPN, the Football Power Index, they have a 21% chance, which is the highest of those 3 teams.
Shaquem Griffin with a stop as Boone lost a couple. And all 3 of those teams you mentioned with stars. You think about Rashad Penny at San Diego State, Quentin Flowers at USF. And pick your poison here for the Knights. A fast-moving first quarter in the books. A 20-7 advantage for UCF.
coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Back inside Nippert Stadium, start of our second quarter. 27 points already on the board. Cincinnati driving yet again, facing a second down and 11. As the Knights show pressure, and perhaps a free play for Hayden Moore. Pass will be picked off, but the penalty flag will negate that. What's been a different looking Hayden Moore thus far compared to what we saw a week ago?
Offsides. Defense, number 10. 5-yard penalty, second down.
In the loss against Marshall as Titus Davis crossed the line early.
Yeah, his numbers haven't been bad. I think it's more the confidence, Roy, and granted last week against Marshall, you know, starting behind the 8 ball, 24-0 at half. I thought Luke Fickell said something in our meetings yesterday that was fantastic. He said, hey guys, don't look at the scoreboard. Just work on getting better.
Swing pass to Dokes. One-armed reception and tackled hard at the 30. Shaquem Griffin and also Mike Hughes combined to make the stop.
And if you're not worried about the score, I mean, you want to win. Don't get me wrong. I think you have to keep an eye on the scoreboard all the time, but don't be obsessed with looking at the scoreboard, because you can get caught looking at replays on the Jumbotron. You can get caught looking at a lot of things. If you focus on your job, it's remarkable what you're able to do. And I think they have a great game plan tonight. Again, they're going spread. They're making UCF declare. And it's much easier and a cleaner picture for Hayden Moore to look at.
On third down, the pump fake on the screen, and it was picked off. Savon Lowry got a big mid on it and reeled that one in. And what did we hear this week? That when Moore starts to pump fake and that little hitch in his throwing motion, bad things happen, and they did right there.
Savon Lowry better be careful. That's his second interception in as many games. He had one last week, of course, against Memphis. And, you know, Savon Lowry just keeps his eyes up, and he gets pushed across the formation, and they're just trying to run a little tunnel screen underneath, and he gets his hands up, bats the ball, and then looky here, we got another interception.
Well, Karen right off of Rollins, 26 in black, and a costly turnover for the Bearcats.
Well, and watch out here, because UCF.
Timeout, UCF. It's their first timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Timeout on the field as we step aside once again. Back in Cincinnati, a 20-7 advantage for UCF on the road here in the American Conference. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, and a pair of young head coaches trying to rebuild these programs. Luke Fickell just in his first season, Scott Frost year number 2, and they both have a lot of potential. Frost already realizing that potential. A remarkable job he has done in turning things around so quickly. Tom, you mentioned it. 0-12 2 years ago. He took over last season. They go to a bowl game. Already back in the top 25. Undefeated to begin this season. Anderson. Stutter step across the 35. A short pickup as Carter Jacobs brought him down.
Well, and you know what was interesting, talking to Scott Frost the other day, you know, when I asked him, I said, well, what's the biggest difference from last year to this year? And he said, the attention to detail. And truly, when the players get the game plans in their hands at the beginning of the week, he said, but by way of all their practice last year and all the repetitions they got, they're able to pick up quickly right where they left off, and it really translates to get back onto the field.
Senior safety Carter Jacobs banged up. And we mentioned this earlier tonight as well. This is not the first time these two teams, two head coaches, have tangled. We go back to the national championship game more than 3 years ago now. Scott Frost calling plays, Luke Fickell as well. And it was that night that the Buckeyes bested the Ducks. Marcus Mariota, a couple of early scores, and it was back and forth for a while, but not to be for Oregon and Coach Frost, as the Buckeyes defense, with all that NFL talent, proved to be too difficult to defeat. 42-20 game.
Joey Bosa.
Nasty.
On Marcus Mariota. Man, it was like, look out. Well, I asked Pickle the same question. I said, hey, did that game help you? And he said, yeah. He goes, they're different, but he goes, he likes throwing the number 2 into the flat, and we were on top of that a couple years ago. I said, yes, you were.
Milton with all kinds of time, floats it deep and incomplete, trying to spot Gabe Davis, who had a couple of steps on Grant Coleman. And nothing doing.
Well, and I thought he was going to go to Manny Logan Green down the middle of the field. It was a 3 wide receiver set. They kept the others in to block, but a nice play drawn up. So tonight, UCF isn't throwing flats. They're throwing deep tonight. They're trying to gouge the Cincinnati Bearcat defensive secondary.
Knights need 6. Flips it ahead to Davis. That'll move the chains. And a trio of Bearcats surround him as Carter Jacobs checks back in, and Grant Coleman sent him down to the turf in a late flag. Well, after a gain of 12, we'll check the penalty.
Yeah, I think they're going to call Gabe Davis for a retaliation penalty here.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 20. 15 yards from the end of the automatic.
So Carter Jacobs exited the field moments ago, appeared to be banged up, now healthy and back on, and a bad play here for senior.
Well, and I thought they were going to get the second guy there. Davis wasn't happy with it, that's for sure. A little overzealous Jacobs.
Anthony Calabrese leading the veteran officiating crew out of the American Conference tonight. Inside give, a spin move by McGowan's, and sandwich short of the 35. First time tonight we've called Perry Young's name number 6 in black, and he's got to make more plays tonight for the Bearcats.
Well, he's their playmaker, and that was an awfully nice play. Nice stop that time by Perry Young. He just read the play. Again, read and react. Just flowed with the ball carrier, and then he just found a hole he could pop through and just nailed him.
Nelton steps up and driven down to the turf. Mark Wilson with a sack, his first of the season, and it comes at an opportune time.
Well, they knew they had to get really good play from the defensive line tonight, both in stopping the run and in putting pressure on Mackenzie Melton, the quarterback. That's the first sack of the year that this UCF front line has given up.
First sack of the season, nearly 4 games in.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing statistic, but Mark Wilson there getting off the ball well, coming around the horn and making a nice play.
After a loss of 9, third down. Milton surveys, flings it. Caught by Anderson, a nice move across the 30. And now an interesting decision coming up for Scott Frost, a gain of 15. 4th down and 3 with all the momentum this team has on offense. You got to believe they're going to go for it. And that shows you what I know.
Well, I was going to say, it is such a great play on 3rd down to pick up that many yards. And again, Otis Anderson, kind of the do-all player. Really a nice play. I mean, 15 yards gain. It does give you a question mark, but roll out the kicking team.
Wind is at Matthew Wright's back from 47 yards out. And he got it. So instead of going for it on 4th and short, Scott Frost elects to kick the field goal. And it's now 23-7. 11:03 remaining here in our first half in Cincy. A 23-7 advantage for UCF on the road here in the Queen City. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, head coach for the Bearcats, Luke Fickell. Whole career has been right here in the great state of Ohio, and he also has 6 kids, including 2 sets of twins. And he's made this a pregame ritual. He likes to go by and give the family a hug. They've made the transition from Columbus to here in Cincinnati. And tell you, his wife Amy's done a remarkable job in just helping raise an extremely large family in a year of great transition in a good way for the Fickles.
He brought his family to the radio show the other night. That's probably why they invited us to go to the radio show and buy us dinner. I don't want to babysit kids, though, Roy, I got to tell you.
Been there and done that.
Done. Empty nesting.
Well, congratulations on that. The Bearcats will take over. What could be considered a win for their defense after limiting UCF to the field goals. We check in for the first time with Chris Cotter. Well, certainly stunning news there.
What?
Stunning news there. The Spartans on the road.
Not so stunning.
Okay.
Not so stunning. Because Coach D'Antonio has the best record of any opposing coach to ever play against Michigan. Although I think Terry Donahue was pretty close too.
Boone on the jet sweep. Tries to get to the edge. Can't do it. He's going to lose a couple of yards. Jim Harbaugh lost all that talent from last year's team, so Michigan was under the radar this year. And it's been ugly at times, but they win with that physicality and that defense. They got work to do tonight.
Well, and you got John O'Corn making his first start for the injured Wilton Spates. And, you know, it just, when things change, and they can just change a little tiny bit, it means a lot.
Game over on ABC, another late night out west. Encourage you to stay tuned later this evening. Moore sensing the backside pressure, floats it out of bounds. Shaquem Griffin, 2016 American Conference Player of the Year on the defensive side of the ball with the pressure that time.
Well, and he comes just like he's in a track meet too, because his speed off the edge is a factor you have to account for. Shaquem Griffin just comes barreling, and he of course caused a fumble last week with a sack, and right there that you see why he was the 2016 American Defensive Player of the Year.
Bearcats 3 of 5 on third down. Moore with time, quick slant, and it's caught. Khalil Lewis bobbled it initially, finally corralled it. The helmet goes flying. It's a gain of 26. Burkett with a stop. That's a big pitch and catch for the Bearcats.
Well, he lost everything. He lost his helmet. He lost his mouthpiece. Just see what an explosive player. And that is a great catch. And then he's able to get the yards after. And boy, I mean, the guy not only ripped his helmet off, but his foot ended up in his face too. I mean, that's punishment.
That's a toe to the face mask. Drive continues, this time from the 49. And Moore poised in the pocket so far tonight. Dangerous toss there, incomplete, out of bounds. I think that's the one area they're trying to clean up with number 8 in black, Hayden Moore, the junior quarterback from Clay, Alabama. The decision making, it's been there at times, and at times it hasn't been.
Well, and I thought there he broke the pocket a little early without a lot of pressure, and then Trey Neal really had a nice break on the ball from his safety position, almost picked the ball off. The numbers on Hayden, 11 of 16, 118, with the one interception by the defensive lineman.
Big collision after the short pickup. Medeiros brought it in. Hughes with a stop.
Boy, and Hughes is a really good player from that corner position. But there's been a little hitting tonight going on. Hayden Moore taking a shot that time as soon as he released the ball.
3rd and 5. And 2 flags right as the snap ensued.
Illegal snap, number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
The senior center, David Niehaus, part of 3 walk-ons that all start in the interior O-line for Cincinnati this year.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Cincinnati 4 of 6 on 3rd down tonight. again going empty.
And the Knights are going to call a timeout.
Timeout, UCF. It's their second timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
The momentum teetering right now. A very important possession for the Bearcats after picking up that initial first down. We'll see if that can continue. Now the Mitchell Trubisky era begins in Chicago. The Black and Blue division is back for our Week 5 Monday Night Football matchup. Vikings and Bears live from Soldier Field. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's, 6 Eastern, and all gets underway on ESPN. And also available on ESPN2 in Spanish. So Trubisky, the number 2 overall pick, making his first start awfully early in his NFL career to be able to piece that together. And see a couple of former players from both of these teams now playing at the next level. Can Trubisky survive a rookie campaign where Chicago really is missing a lot of key offensive weapons?
Well, I got to tell you, he's going to have to, because otherwise the Chicago staff isn't going to be there. So
that's how it works.
That's how it works at the next level. Got to make plays.
Moore with time, flings it, pass is caught. No, he dropped it. Sailing out of bounds. Gray thought he made the grab. Hughes was in coverage.
Well, and Mike Hughes, the corner, was right there to contest the catch, and he just kept arm locking the receiver and just jarred the ball out. It was a good throw that time by Moore. It was right on time and right on the sideline. They had the right play dialed up, and Gray just couldn't hold on to it, but he was getting jostled around by the corner, Mike Hughes. Nice play.
Smith will send it end over end once again for the fair catch at the 10. And a flag on the field back at the 40 after a 41-yard punt.
Holding. Return team, number 28. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So they'll back him up a couple of more yards. Trace Ryan. Flag for the infraction.
Well, there hasn't been much to slow down UCF tonight. Just a few penalties here and there and 1 sack. But for the most part, Mackenzie Milton's been dead on accurate, really throwing the ball well tonight. And the numbers reflect that. 7 of 9, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. How about this, Roy? Quarterback rating of 336.8.
Effective.
Yeah.
We'll see if the Bearcats decide to dial up some pressure here. Jet sweep Williams. He had an expanded package tonight, and Marlon Williams stays alive. And there goes number 17. All the way inside Cincinnati territory. Perry Young finally brought him down. That's a gain of 47.
Well, and Troy Walters, the offensive coordinator, the former Stanford great receiver, who's been coaching now a bunch of years. Can't believe that, but he told us Marlon Williams had an expanded package. You hit it, jet sweep, and he rolls for 47. Bam.
He's a wide receiver. He's built like a middle linebacker. Quick handoff on first down to McGowan's.
Well, and interesting what Walter said about him. He said he came into camp a little heavy. He was a little heavy. Marlon Williams was. He's played himself into great shape.
Knights need 4 on second down. McGowan's will tap dance towards the 35 and a flag on the field again. We had a clean game to start. 20 points scored in the first 5 minutes tonight.
Personal foul. Defense, number 6. Illegal hands to the face. 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Another painful penalty for Perry Young and the Bearcats defense.
Well, Perry Young's emotional. Defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman said he plays with your heart on the sleeve, man. And Perry Young he's really embodies what Cincinnati football's about. I mean, he is one tough dude. And, he's a little undersized, right? 215, 5'10", 215, but he will come up and smack you.
Towards the end zone. Did he bring it in? Inbounds, yes. Touchdown, UCF. Colubiali with a touchdown grab in the back of the end zone.
There's a flag on the play.
Holding. Defense, number 30. Penalties declined. Result of the play, touchdown.
So Michael Colubiali, yet another of the tight ends in this UCF offense, makes a spectacular grab at the back of the end zone, lining up right at the end of the line of scrimmage. But Roy, I thought the pass was brilliant because Milton threw it to the back of the end zone. He knew Colubiali would be there, and he comes down with a great catch and another score.
Wright's extra point up and true. And the quick strike ability of UCF on display yet again. First touchdown of the season for the fifth-year senior from Port Orange, Florida.
Well, so UCF again, they're knocking on the door 46. That's what they score every game. Touchdown, UCF.
Now halfway through the second quarter, back in the Queen City with Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, 30-7, undefeated UCF. Having its way so far with the Bearcats. How about this stat, perhaps the most impressive of the evening? Mackenzie Milton, 8 completions tonight. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns. With those 8 completions, 8 different receivers. Talk about spreading the wealth. He's been impressive.
How about that? His quarterback rating went up from 336 to 363.8. There's one for you, partner. Rarely do you see that.
First and 10 from the 25 as we check in with Chris Cotter with an update on the Alabama game. Chris. Good stuff, my friend. We appreciate that as we take an updated look at the AP Top 10 brought to you by PlayStation. And Clemson survived against Wake Forest earlier today. You see that score over in College Station. And the big upset, Iowa State in Norman. Number 3 goes down. First loss of Lincoln Riley's career.
Well, it was bound to happen eventually. Oklahoma played with mirrors a little bit. Baker Mayfield actually had a great first half. But Iowa State, you know, you got to give credit to the teams. They just keep hammering away, and Iowa State did that today.
Under 7 to play in the first half. Play action for Moore. And looking deep. Sail that one out of bounds, trying to spot Lewis. Good coverage by Trey Neal.
Well, and that's just kind of a wasted play, Roy. He didn't really have an outlet there. They ran 3 wides down the field, and then Hayden Moore just doesn't have an outlet to go to there. It's great coverage. Listen, you know, sometimes you're not going to get to the quarterback every time. Sometimes the receivers are going to be covered, but, you know, burning a play right there, I think, hurts them a little bit. You know, now you have a 3rd and 8. They've been good on 3rd down tonight, 4 of 7, and again, going empty just to make the defense declare.
5 wide on 3rd down. Moore with all kinds of time. Spots Cogswell. A late flag on the field. He does have the first down. Kyle Gibson ushered him out. We'll check the penalty.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Offense, number 18. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Boy, that one hurts. And I'm not exactly sure why they called the receiver who caught the ball as an illegal receiver unless the receiver that was lined up outside of him covered him up, which could have very well happened. So what they're saying is the receiver up top, the undrawn receiver, is the one that covered up Cogswell. And it made him an ineligible receiver. And the flag came out. That's a good call.
Instead of a first down, 3rd and 13. Again, Moore. Pass is caught. Pinckney made the reception right near the marker. Mike Hughes brought him down. That's a gain of 13. And just enough for the first down.
It's good for a Bearcats first down.
Boy, that's a good conversion there, because that was a tough penalty. You got a couple timeouts. You got one timeout with 6 minutes left now in your Cincinnati. So points on the board before halftime. Crucial here.
Quarterback draw. And Moore punished after crossing the line of scrimmage. It's a tough 2 yards for the quarterback.
Boy, those are 2 yards. Sometimes the shots you're taking to get those 2 yards.
The runner's forward progress was stopped prior to the ball coming out. Second down.
I felt you cringe here in the booth.
Man, I told Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, I was like, you know something? I said, hey, tell the quarterback, self-preservation is good. Don't take those big shots. He goes, I've been telling him.
3 wide look, Moore. Quick strike. And batted away. Pinckney thought he had it. And Brandon Moore swatted that football from his grasp. Well, Pinckney's got to be more aggressive in that sequence. The ball was right on his fingertips.
Boy, Eric Shenander's defense, they do the little things. They're just manned up right there. They know, the ball's coming out, and then at the last moment, they just strip the ball away. And that's just a great heads-up play by Brandon Moore.
5 wide on 3rd down. Here comes the pressure. Moore stands in, delivers a strike, and off to the races is Boone. Tripped up short of the 25. How about the toughness of Hayden Moore standing in the pocket, absorbing the hit, and firing a missile for a first down and a gain of 47.
Roy, they've been effective so far in the spread offense tonight with 5 wides, empty backfield, and right there, Boone underneath just runs just an arrow route, really kind of an angle route, and he gives the quarterback a steady picture. The ball right on time again. Nice game.
Bearcats trying to make it a 2-score game before halftime. Here's Lewis in the flats. And you can sense the rhythm with Cincinnati on offense tonight at various points in this first half. It's been there, then it goes away, and now it's back.
Yeah, Boone came limping off to the sidelines. He already had an ankle that was hurting him pretty good, and looked as though on that big gain for the first down, he may have hurt his leg again.
Ankle injury came on the final play against Michigan. Was trying to make something out of nothing. Bearcats' rushing attack has been putrid without Boone on the field. Moore off the left side with a running lane towards the end zone. Touchdown.
That's a nice play by Hayden Moore. 16 yards, a little zone read, off tackle, and he's got great eyes on this play. The guard pulls around, and then he waits until the guard engages with the defender. Nice downfield block by one of the receivers, and I thought Hayden Moore that time, he was patient, really patient running the ball, and had a nice play for the touchdown.
An extra point is blocked back to Jones. He was quickly tossed to the turf. Now, Tristan Hill was leading the charge in the center of the line of scrimmage. And our new score at 30-13. But how about the Bearcats? 75 yards in 8 plays, and the junior signal caller Hayden Moore calls his own number to reach pay dirt. And Cincinnati trying to hang around with undefeated UCF tonight. A nice drive by the Bearcats and junior quarterback Hayden Moore moments ago. 17-point deficit net for the Bearcats. You see his numbers so far tonight. And one interception came off of Karam, off a backup wide receiver's hands. And that was a costly turnover for Cincinnati, which was driving at the time. But Moore trying to reestablish himself as a starter. It was a quarterback carousel last year under former head coach Tommy Tuberville. Hasn't always been easy.
No, and I think he had to fight to regain his confidence, Roy, and I still think he's in the process of doing that.
Hughes from the 3. Pretty spin move to keep the return alive, crossing the 30 ahead to the 31. It's a return of 28 yards. Allstate is proud to be a part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds. For each field goal and extra point kick, to date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. And you see the wind starting to pick up here inside of Nippert Stadium, gusting up to 25 miles an hour. Injury on the sideline for the Bearcats. Back to live action. Jordan Akins makes a nifty move, and there he goes. Sent out of bounds in plus territory. Jordan Akins, outstanding weapon at 6'4", 260 pounds, and Tom, he could play the next level.
Oh, he really could. 25 years old. He played 4 seasons in the Texas Rangers organization. I'm guessing he probably couldn't hit a curveball, Philpott. That's my guess.
Like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Option play. Milton keeps it. And some nifty running. He's not the fastest player on the field, but he's sneaky quick at times, isn't he?
Yeah, I told Scott Frost, I said, "Boy, you want to keep him upright. You don't want to get him hurt." And he said, "Yeah, he took 2 big shots last week in the Memphis game, and he came out okay, though."
Play action again. The pump fake, looking deep. Breaking wide open is Traquan Smith for the easy touchdown. Well, he toasted Carter Jacobs. And that's just too easy for a quarterback that good and a receiver that big who's also that fast.
Exactly. They just don't have the answers for Traquan Smith. And he's a long receiver, about 6'2", 210. And what sells it, there's a pump fake that Milton makes, and Carter Jacobs really never had a chance. He was flat-footed. He thought Smith was going to break it off, but he just went right by him.
And Mackenzie Milton with all day to survey the field. Now with 4 touchdown strikes on 10 of 12 passing in this first half.
Well, partner, they don't take long to score. UCF, they don't mind when there's 2 minutes or 3 minutes left on the clock. And Mackenzie Milton, you see that pump fake, and that holds people right there. Jacobs got caught looking in, and then Traquan Smith just breezes by him. And again, the throw is spot on. It takes the receiver deep into the end zone, right on time again.
And you're going to call me crazy here, but that was the most confident pump fake I've seen in college football this year. He knew where he wanted to go. It was wide open, and he delivered the goods once again.
Well, go back to game planning, right? They have it dialed up right now, and Scott Frost is down there calling the plays, and he's awfully effective. He gets a lot of input from Troy Walters, the offensive coordinator, and I think it's how they all work so well as a group of coaches. And Frost even said that. You know, last year he put together a good staff, and that whole staff has stuck with him. They're loyal to him, and I think he sets the bar up very high for himself, and people like to follow those kinds of leaders.
Bearcats will have 2 minutes and 57 seconds to navigate with. Meanwhile, UCF perfect tonight with its offensive possessions.
Well, perfect, and they've already rung up close to 400 yards of offense. They have 385 yards of offense on all those drives. They have not had to punt, and that's impressive.
We spoke with Scott Frost this week. He looked like the cat that ate the canary. He really did. He's just brimming with confidence right now. And this offense, Frost is a play caller, Milton as a quarterback. They're in the zone, and you can sense it here tonight in the Queen City.
Yeah, and all those drives, Roy, they've only eaten up 10 minutes and 17 seconds.
And here comes the defense, and Pat Jasinski with a sack.
You know what I got a kick out of when we were talking to the coaches? I got the feeling Eric Chenander's like, hey, man, you keep scoring on offense, and we'll just play some great defense behind it. And he has gotten the defense completely pumped up And he just says, listen, I don't care about stats. I want turnovers, sacks, limit the big plays, and limit the points. And they have delivered exactly that.
After a loss of 6, they'll shovel it outside to Mike Boone. He'll get some of that yardage back. What sounds so simple when you frame it that way, but that's what the Knights have done this season.
It seems simple, and I pulled Frost aside and look at Eric Shenander, the defensive coordinator, had not been a defensive coordinator in his past. He was up at Oregon with Chip Kelly and Scott Frost on the same staff together. They won a boatload of games. Shenander went to the Philadelphia Eagles with Chip Kelly, and he learned a lot of football hanging around our man Chip Kelly.
Moore escapes the pocket. We'll keep that drive alive, brought down by Jasinski. It's a gain of 17 on 3rd and long. Scott Frost told us something interesting about his D coordinator as well. He said, you know what, he's my best friend in the world. Shenander told us he got up and spoke at Scott Frost's wedding, which I found fascinating. And I'll tell you, both guys were a little emotional in talking about each other this week. You got to respect that kind of friendship on a coaching staff because it doesn't always exist. It's such a competitive environment.
Really doesn't exist. It works in very few working environments. I'll say that, Phil.
Yes, sir. I hear you.
I hear you. We're good, though, man. We are good, and they're good. But you know what? They're two likable guys, right? Frost is very likable. I mean, he was a national championship quarterback at Nebraska. He was mentored. He first went, when he left Nebraska as a high schooler, he went and played for Bill Walsh at Stanford for 2 years.
2nd down and 10, Moore. Another strike. Nadaris makes the catch. About a yard short of the first down. Bearcats just searching for some kind of points right before halftime. Trailing by 24. Dokes left side, first down.
Jared Dokes, the ball carrier for the Bearcats. On the play. First down.
Well, this is where the UCF defense can tighten up a little bit. They need to get a little pressure on Hayden Moore. Hayden Moore just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Read the defense and find the single covered guy.
Now Moore did a great job going through his progressions. Nobody open against that zone.
No, and I didn't think the receivers worked hard enough that time to get open for him. Yes, they're tired, but if you're covered, continue to work and try to create some separation from the defender and give your quarterback a chance. No one came back. Receivers are usually taught, come back on the same line and give the quarterback a chance. Show him your numbers, and none of the receivers did that time.
Surprise snap, Moore corrals it, and now flushed. Dangerous toss out of bounds. Aaron Cochran applying the pressure, some 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Devin Gray, the intended target.
Yeah, and here, Roy, with 3rd down and just 34 seconds left, I mean, you got one chance here on 3rd down. Then you have to punt it away because you sure don't want to give UCF the ball near midfield. That would be disastrous.
Bearcats 8 of 11 on 3rd down and trail by 24. And movement at the line, another free play for Hayden Moore. Wisely takes a shot. We'll make it 3rd down and 5 after the penalty.
There are flags on the play.
Offside. Defense, number 18. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Well, Roy, you know what's interesting? That's a really smart play by Hayden Moore, and that's a cheap 5 yards, right? That's the Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to get the cheap 5, and I'm going to take a shot deep. But so many teams go without a cadence, and they go with a clap of the hands. No one ever jumps off sides anymore. You have to verbalize the cadence. You got him again.
Offside. Defense, number 43. 5-yard penalty. Result of the penalty, 1st down.
Now that's one way to move the chains.
Hey, if they're going to keep jumping and try to anticipate snap count, the quarterback needs to just keep commanding that cadence and change it up with different inflections. He got him a third time in a row.
Three straight plays, rather, with 3 consecutive offside calls against
Offside.
UCF.
Defense, number 9. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, I'm guessing, yeah, Shenander, the defensive coordinator, subbing Tristan Hill out, the guilty party, and probably like, hey, listen, we just gave him a first down. Don't give him yet another 5 yards, and that's exactly what they did.
The big stories in college football: Oklahoma upset at home. We'll have more on that coming up at halftime. Miami survives in Tallahassee. It could be deemed a significant win for the ACC potentially.
Boy, that's always a treat of a game, too. I've worked that one a few times.
On 1st and 5 towards the end zone, contact and another penalty. Now Brandon Moore tripped up Devin Gray. It's been a sloppy end of this first half.
And very different from the first 10 minutes. That was very crisp. 21 seconds left.
There's no foul for defensive pass interference.
And Roy, I thought that was a good call. I thought they got tangled up. I thought their legs got tangled up. And they just, sometimes when, high-octane athletes are running fast and there's 2 of them running at full speed, sometimes the legs just get tangled up and he went down. Gray went down.
2nd down and 5. Moore flushed again. Will keep the play alive. Far side. Hayden Moore wisely steps out of bounds around the 12. It's a gain of 17 yards, and Moore's got some jets.
I'm really impressed with Hayden Moore and most of his decision making tonight. I thought there was room for him to get better after watching film this week. He made some decisions a week ago that really pained the team and pained himself, but he's really been locked in tonight.
Towards the end zone, pass is caught. Bearcats with 1 timeout remaining. They got to use it here.
Timeout, Cincinnati. It's their 3rd and final timeout of the half.
So Boone out of the backfield makes the grab, and now just 7 seconds
30 seconds
to work with. Well, next Saturday, don't forget about the Red River rivalry game. Baker Mayfield, number 3 OU, take on Texas from the Cotton Bowl. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, either on ESPN or ABC, and of course streaming live on the ESPN app. Oklahoma probably going to tumble after the loss against Iowa State earlier today. They will tumble, in fact. But history shows us, even with a loss at home the last 2 seasons, national champion can still emerge from that setback. It happened to Clemson last year against Pittsburgh, and to Alabama the previous campaign against Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Roy, I just think being undefeated throughout the year, it's tough to do. It is a tall task. I think right here, Cincinnati, I would expect them to go for it. They are. They're rolling out their offense. They're not going to settle for 3. I like the decision by Luke Fickell and staff here. Listen, it's a conference game. If you want to take down the big dog, you got to go for it.
Lewis in motion, Boone in the backfield, Moore with time. Looking towards the back corner, sails it out of bounds. And a couple of ticks remaining on the clock.
Well, it's a home field right here. 2 seconds left, and you can still roll out the field goal team. So really good use of clock right there by Cincinnati, and credit Hayden Moore. The man was not open. He fired it out of bounds. You save yourself 2 seconds, and out comes Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones taking over the starting place kicking position this week. It's been a bit of an issue for Cincinnati's special teams this year. 26-yard effort. Right between the pipes again. So Cincinnati with a field goal at the buzzer to end our first half. 37-16 our score. When we come back, Chris Cotter, Chip Kelly, Jonathan Vilma will be in the studio for our halftime report after an eventful first 30 minutes here in the Queen City. ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Dr. Pepper. Here inside Nippert Stadium, start of our second half, 37-16, UCF undefeated in the top 25. Off and rolling, Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. Here's how we got to this point. Mackenzie Milton, 4 touchdown passes in the first half. He was on fire.
Well, he delivered strikes, and he delivered 4 of them. The first one, Dedrick Snelson, then Traquan Smith, and that was a huge play. That was a 79-yard touchdown, and then he came back and found the tight end, Michael Kalubiali, in the back of the end zone, and then Traquan Smith again. And that's just a great throw. It's a great catch. And Mackenzie Milton, 10 of 12, 4 touchdowns, and a 390 QB rating. 390.
Michael Warren receiving the second half kick, takes it across the 25. Bearcats trailing by 3 scores as we take a look at our Taco Bell game track. And the Knights basically perfect on offense in that first half, dominating most of the key statistics. Was sloppy there at the end of the second quarter. A couple of penalties on both sides. It was a very busy night in college football. Over on ESPN, Texas A&M trying to rally at home against Alabama. A 2-score game. And here in the Queen City, an important American Conference clash as Moore with time flings it incomplete. And back across the field, a dangerous toss intended for Tyler Cogswell.
Was a dangerous throw, but Moore ended up eyeing the defender, Burkett, the linebacker. And it was actually a good throw. He didn't lead his receiver into danger and kept him out of it, but the pass went incomplete.
Opening possession of the second half for the Bearcats. And Moore straight ahead, a short pickup. Jemias Pittman, number 5 in white, brought him down.
Well, and Roy, in the first half, Hayden Moore, I thought this Cincinnati offense was most effective when Moore was throwing the ball. He was 17 of 31, 196 with 1 interception. He also 10 rushes, 69 yards, and pair of touchdowns.
Overall, he played pretty well given the inconsistent nature of this offense so far this year. Bearcats coming in at 2-3. Moore sails that one intended for Mike Boone. There was pressure by Pittman, and Moore hit the deck yet again.
Well, and they didn't want to go 3 and out. That's been their really the nemesis of this offense when they aren't able to get that momentum going on the first drive of either the first half or the second half. And, you know, it deflates you a little bit. You need 3 scores to get back in it. And you have to punt it to one of the most explosive offenses in the country.
Mike Hughes calls for the fair catch. And we'll get that short of the 30-yard line. 45-yard punt, UCF taking over after an absolute picture-perfect first 2 quarters. 6 possessions ending with points, including 5 touchdowns.
Well, it's impressive. And UCF came in averaging 46.3 tonight. You see how well they did, and they did all that. The 6 drives, 5 touchdowns, 1 field goal in 10 minutes in the first half. So they're getting beaten time of possession, but not on the scoreboard.
Adrian Killens, a jump cut, off to the races, right up the gut and tripped up short of midfield. It's a gain of 18 yards. And you give Killens an inch, he's going to make you pay.
Well, Killens, we talked about his speed in the first half. He's the reigning Offensive Player of the Week for the American Conference. Had a great game against Memphis last week, over 100 yards.
Milton pulls it. And a far side run into plus territory.
Milton's smart there. He got a short gain and then decides, you know what, not going to take a big hit. Wasn't a gracious slide. It was a kind of a clumsy slide.
Is it hard to learn how to slide as a quarterback?
Yeah, it's really hard to slide because you never really slide till you get to college football. I mean, guys really don't slide much in high school, if ever.
Knights need 7 on second down. They'll dial up number 9, Killens. Jumps over a defender for a short pickup. Carter Jacobs with a stop. Nippert Stadium known as a very difficult place to play, and where Scott Frost took the crowd out of it early. Knights have only had 3 third down opportunities tonight. They're 2 of 3.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Only 3 third downs in the first half. I mean, that's crazy.
Swing pass. Snelson has it and the first down. Shoved out of bounds inside the 40.
The offense is so good, Roy. They put so much pressure on the defense on the perimeter. And right there, they got 2 blockers out in front, right? The ball comes out quick. It's in Snelson's hands, and he has 2 blockers. He has Smith blocking on the edge for him, and that's a big body receiver with a nice block, and that's another first down.
Milton's already tied his career high with 4 touchdown tosses in the first half. Gain of 10 on first down. Drive will continue as Gilbert brought down the receiver Snelson. I'll go back to that one word we used twice in the first half for Scott Frost's team. Zone. They are in the zone. As play callers, Milton as the quarterback. You know, Scott Frost told us, Tom, that he has a little maverick in him at times. A little Brett Favre. He'll make a decision that maybe you question. He really hasn't done that at all this evening, and really this entire sophomore year. Has just felt what Frost wants to do on this side of the football, and it's just right there.
I liked when he said that too, and I got the feeling that sometimes Milton goes right to the edge and even crosses the line sometimes. When you say he's got a little maverick in him, coaches are saying one thing and he's like, no, coach, I can do this. It's like, no, we don't want you to do it. Stick to the plan.
After a loss of 1, Otis Anderson checks in. He's now in the slot with an empty backfield. Milton, a quick toss. Caught. Traquan Smith near another first down for the Knights. And marked out at the 16.
Well, super safe throw into the boundary. So you give your guy and your guy only a chance. And Traquan Smith having a nice game. That's his 3rd catch of the night, 74 yards. I'm sorry. 3rd catch of the night, 132 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Milton with time across the middle. Smith has it. It'll be 1st and goal for the Knights. Perry Young with a stop. Not before a gain of 11.
Well, Traquan Smith, before that catch, averaging 44 yards a catch. So he's had a spectacular night. And you know what? They just don't let off the gas. UCF just, that offense just keeps coming at you, and they're in the driver's seat.
Cordarian Richardson checks in, 29 in white for UCF. And he'll get the fake handoff as the pass is incomplete. Well, Richardson wanted it. Instead, Milton pulled it on the RPO. A pass intended for Smith.
Actually, Traquan Smith and Gabe Davis were almost on top of each other, and I thought that confused Milton a little bit. It really forced him into a bad throw. We'll give him a break. That's one bad throw tonight. How about that?
14 of 17 now through the air is Mackenzie Milton. We spoke with him yesterday, and I asked him, you're only 5'11". Is that a chip on the shoulder mentality at quarterback? And his answer almost put me to sleep because he's so even keel. They'll hand it off to Smith this time. Patient run, and he's got the touchdown. So Smith through the air, and now Smith on the ground from 5 yards out, and another score for UCF.
Well, they love using the interchangeable athletes as receivers, as potential running backs. And right there, Traquan Smith having a great night tonight, catching the football. This time he takes a handoff from the quarterback, Milton. And you said it, Roy, patient running right there. Lets the play develop, gets 2 nice blocks, and just hops on into the end zone.
Wright's extra point up and good. And how about the Knights from Orlando? 7 possessions, 7 scores this evening. Nearly perfect on offense.
Well, that's what you're looking for right there. You're looking for efficiency. number 4, not only efficient, but great tonight.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Back in the Queen City, 44-16, UCF pouring it on. Here inside Nippert Stadium, Traquan Smith, a touchdown through the air, one on the ground moments ago, and all smiles on that UCF bench. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. If you're just tuning in, the Knights have been darn near perfect this evening on offense. 7 possessions, 7 scores. As Warren's tripped up crossing the 25. We take a look at tonight's backstage pass. One of the great traditions here with the Bearcats, the UC band, founded back in 1920, and probably the best game day tradition. They'll play Army fanfare at the top of Nippert Stadium before running down the stadium stairs onto the field, to the delight of some 40,000 Bearcats faithful. And you always love to see that kind of tradition. And tell you what, there's a lot of it here inside this venue. Cincinnati's played football here since 1901. And the facility originally constructed in 1915. A couple of renovations here recently. The brand new video board towards our left, Tom, is 31 feet high and 114 feet wide. It is state of the art as they installed it this summer.
Well, and I'd say this, Roy, athletic director Mike Bone, we got to spend some time with him. He's been around at some great schools himself. He was AD at Colorado, got Colorado into the Pac-12 conference, and they got the right guy at the helm here, but the facilities here are just amazing.
Knights show pressure. Pass is caught by Cogswell. And that'll be good enough to move the chains. 2nd and 9, he'll pick up 14. Burkett and Moore with a stop.
Yeah, this stadium, for as aged as it is just on the clock, right? All the renovations they've done and the new scoreboard, the new press box, it's an efficient stadium. And you know what I like most about it? Everyone's got a great seat. You're close to the action, so it's good.
Inside give. Ahead to the 45-yard line. Bearcats have not been that efficient on the ground tonight. Dokes with a carry. Davis with a hit.
No, they've been at their best tonight when they're throwing the football. And, you know, I like their use of formations tonight. They seem to get a little advantage when they keep UCF spread out. And I really think it's because UCF's team speed, Roy, is just, it's a little better than a lot of teams in the country, and they're able to run to the football. So if you play them in a box, they're going to hem you in. If you put them out in space, they got to run further to get you.
DeGara makes his first catch of the night and keeps the play alive. Far side, sent out near the 28. Shaquem Griffin with a tackle.
Well, and I think what Luke Fickell's going to be proud of his team tonight, you know, number one, they don't quit, but secondly, guys are making little blocks downfield, right? You see Gray out in front trying to get an extra block, and he does that, and Griffin has to come over and push DeGora off and out of bounds, but they're getting the extra effort from players, and that's something that, you know, it's been missing, and it's just like it's football DNA, right? He said, I just got to get guys to keep thinking football and just play it, man.
Breaking wide open and incomplete. Cogswell had a step, and Moore just too quick that time with the trigger.
Well, and that's the one you can't miss, right? If you get a window against UCF's defense and you don't take advantage of it, here's your opportunity here. Because you had one-on-one, you had a nice route, and Cogswell beat the defender, and Moore just threw it right by him. About three yards out in front of him.
Three-man front for the Knights on 2nd and long. Moore. It's been one of their better plays of the evening, the quarterback keeper. And needing 10, he'll pick up about half that as Lowry and Moore combine to make the stop.
Yeah, they just run that read zone behind the big left tackle. Corey Cunningham, big senior out of Alabama. And you know, he's definitely a next level player. We were out at the Thursday practice, and There was even a scout or two out watching Corey Cunningham. I mean, you know, 6'6", 6'7", 300 plus, long arms. I mean, he's got great reach and has a lot of starts there at that left tackle position.
They call him Big Country on 3rd and 6. Difficult pass is somehow brought in by Michael Warren. Well, you thought that was going to be picked off for a second. 1st and goal coming up for the Bearcats, but it worked.
Well, again, Roy, there's that tight window, and Hayden Moore didn't miss it that time. He used a crowbar to stick it in, though. I don't know how he got the ball stuffed in there to Warren, but somehow he squeezed it in between defenders and made a nice throw, and that's a nice catch by the true freshman.
Now, the score is lopsided. You have to think that Moore has picked up some confidence this evening. He has threaded the needle a couple of times. Bearcats have found their rhythm on a couple of possessions. It hasn't been there as often as they would like. And ahead to the 5-yard line, it'll make it 2nd and goal.
Well, remember, Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, who's been around at a lot of great places. He was on Tyrone Willingham's staff at Stanford and at Notre Dame and at Washington, and and most recently with Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. But he said something. He said, we just can't get started quick. But he goes, Tom, in the second half, you'll see us. We start ripping it. Like we play like free. We just got to get that feeling in the first half. But again tonight, it was really tough on them in the first half.
Empty set. Moore scored a touchdown on that formation earlier. Brought down by Titus Davis here. 3rd and goal. Let it rip is what he said he's told his quarterback this week, Mike Denbrock, the offensive play caller for the Bearcats. And tell you what, when he does it, it looks good. When he doesn't, they've struggled.
3rd and goal on the 4.
Bearcats 9 of 13 on 3rd down. Dokes checks back in at running back. A crowded box for the Knights. Flag on the field, free play and incomplete. Brandon Moore in coverage.
Offside.
Against Rollins.
Defense, number 93. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
Well, the one mistake the UCF defense has been making, that's the 4th offsides they've had. And that's just irresponsible, right, from the defensive line. You got to listen to the cadence, but don't rely on the cadence. You got to look at the ball. Don't move before the ball snapped. And credit Moore. He almost got a free one there.
There's Tony Garrod. Moore stopped just short. It'll be 4th and goal from the 1. And no doubt here, Luke Fickell going to go for it after the stop by Griffin. They'll mark him down just outside the 1.
Yep, the second tight end, DeGuara, comes into the game, and they'll go heavy on the wing here. Both tight ends lining up to the right of Hayden Moore.
Looking for the shovel pass now, lofts it towards the end zone, and Dokes has it. Well, a nice looking play, well designed by Mike Denbrock. And Moore had to be very patient, and that he was.
He was, and Dokes was able to kind of sneak out the backside of the formation, and Hayden Moore kept his eyes right and then came back to Dokes. So, they had the 2 tight ends and really looked like they were going to run power run there behind the 2 tights to the right, but little play action by Moore, and again, nice soft throw to the running back Dokes, good for a touchdown.
The 3rd touchdown of the season. The redshirt freshman from Indianapolis, Jared Dokes. Extra point is true. The Bearcats within 3 scores. Crazier things have happened after an 11-play, 75-yard drive. Now the 1-yard scoring strike. Hayden Moore's had a good night. He needs a little bit more. You're watching the American Conference on ESPN here inside of Nippert Stadium. The weather, we are told, has been deteriorating around us. Lightning in the area, but so far so good, and what has been a convincing performance by undefeated and 25th ranked UCF. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, glad you could join us tonight. And we'll try to pooch the kick. This time up back will field it at the 39. Well, the Knights will take over. Don't forget, next Saturday, the Red River rivalry game is back. Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma will take on Texas. Once again in the Metroplex. That'll be 3:30 Eastern. Either on ESPN or ABC. And streaming live on the ESPN app. Oklahoma stunned today in Norman by Iowa State. UT led by Tom Herman in his first season. There's been some ups, there's been some downs. And always a lot of fun when those two tangle.
And Texas knotted with K-State at the moment.
McGowens gets the handoff straight ahead. So UCF with a 21-point lead, lightning in the area. Not that that factors into Scott Frost's thinking, but you certainly think they'd like to get out of here with a win without having to wait out a weather delay, but we'll see.
Well, and here's been the difference in the game. UCF, 7 drives tonight, 6 touchdowns, 1 field goal, almost 460 yards of offense in less than 15 minutes. That's remarkable. And Cincinnati's had 8 drives tonight, and they've scored on 4 of them.
Tap dance by McGowens into Cincinnati territory, and that'll move the sticks. Malik Clements brought him down. I'll tell you this, the UCF offense literally has not missed a beat, just 3 incompletions, and that's really the only fault you can find with what's happened. People sending me notes on Twitter, who's the best team in the state of Florida right now? I don't know that they're Miami. I don't know that they aren't, given what we've seen.
Well, Otis Anderson out in the flat with a big gain.
No, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Because
I love the question.
Yeah.
Because, I think you could make a case for several teams. And Florida State's probably not in the conversation, but I think Miami's in the conversation. I think UCF is in the conversation. And without a doubt, USF is in the conversation.
We'll see the Bulls next week against this same Bearcats program. Milton off the back foot towards Smith, who's got it for another touchdown. And he appeared to bobble the football for his second, but both feet came down inbounds from 22 yards out. His 3rd score of the night, his 2nd through the air.
Boy, he has been the big play receiver tonight. And, Roy, he's a guy, he just runs a crossing route across the formation, and they're just not able to identify him and pick him up. And I think by now in this game, after 3 touchdowns later and 165 yards and 5 receptions and a rushing touchdown, you'd say, we know who number 4 is.
8 possessions, 8 scores for UCF, and Traquan Smith with the honors yet again.
Well, last week, I'll tell you what, Cincinnati, they're starting to have deja vu in a not so good way. Number 1, take a look. Willie Johnson runs across the formation after play action by the quarterback, catches a pass for a touchdown, and that really put a dagger into the Cincinnati defense. And then Traquan Smith, look what he does. He lines up in the slot, runs across the formation. Mackenzie Milton delivers a strike, and lightning does strike twice, Mr. Philpott.
Well, it's happening all around us and on the field tonight. I would tend to agree. Traquan Smith with 4 touchdowns accounted for this evening, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. He has been a scoring machine and already over 160 yards through the air.
Yeah, they've been so good. 8 for 8 on their drive, 7 touchdowns, 1 field goal.
Some rain expected to move into the Cincinnati area. Perhaps in our 4th quarter, the wind has started to pick up. Hayden Moore back on the field, 1st and 10. And delivers a strike, nicely done over the linebackers in front of secondary. Khalil Lewis. Cal Gibson with a tackle, but a gain of 20 yards.
Boy, and Roy, they're over their average in points. They have 51. They came in averaging over 46 and averaging over A little over 540 yards. They're at 515 for the night. That's UCF on offense.
Approaching 2 to play in the third. That number should go up considerably. In the backfield for a loss of a couple. Joey Connors will get the tackle for loss against Dokes. Met him with authority, I might add.
Well, and the one stat I look at universally across the season, game to game, the time of possession. But tonight, I have to throw time of possession out the window. I mean, UCF has scored 51 points. They've only had the ball for 15 minutes and 45 seconds. So Cincinnati's done a good job controlling the ball. They just have only been 50% on their drives thus far.
The Bearcats.
False start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty, second down.
David Niehaus. Bearcats have not been bad on offense, but trailed by 28. I mean, that's kind of what you're faced with tonight.
They haven't been bad, but they were slow out of the gate, and that was the one aspect. They knew coming in they had to be good in that first half. They just weren't good enough. They'll go back, look at the film, say, hey, we have to even start quicker, and they can use this game film, I think, as a really good building block for the program. I think Luke Fickell can go back and go, listen, you got to play 60 minutes, and it starts in minute 1.
A missile off the right arm of Hayden Moore. Geddes was out of bounds by the time it got there.
Third and 16 for the Bearcats.
Luke Fickell in his first season. Play caller at Ohio State, won a national championship. Former nose guard for the Buckeyes. He's coached in Ohio his whole life. He's got his work cut out for him trying to rebuild this Cincinnati program, and he's got a blueprint for it. He talked with us about those concepts this week. Tunnel screen, Lewis. Nifty move across the 40, but well short of the first down. It's going to take some time.
And they'll punt it away there, Roy. You know, it's funny, just looking at the back of Luke Fickell and seeing team. I had an old teammate, Tim Reitman, at UCLA, went on to play with the Chicago Bears. And he used to say, you know, Tom, he said, there's no I in team, but there's an M and an E. I said, yeah, Reitman, I know there's an M and an E. I got it, but team, man, not I, team.
Mike Hughes set to receive.
Mike Hughes will drift back deep to receive this Smith punt. 23-year-old freshman from Australia. He's had a good night. He's been active. And the Bearcats carry him inside the 10. Punt of 51 yards. UCF taking over once again when we return. Well, 4 seconds remaining in their slate in conference play. Well, the rain started coming down around 10:35 Eastern. Lightning was in the area. Most of the fans have long since departed. And what was a convincing win for the Knights, Tom, and let that not be lost this evening. UCF perfect on all 8 possessions, scoring on all 8 drives.
It was really the only time that UCF got slowed down tonight was the